So, welcome to another week of Confessions of a Beauty Boss.
Oh, this week's a good wee one.
Our confession is we're just batch content, and so we've just done 3 other episodes.
So if we're repeating ourselves, I'm sorry, we'll try
And
and
if
cut
you're
them
watching
out.
us on YouTube, we've got the same outfits on.
I know. We'll have to start doing it and we'll just switch the episodes about so that it looks as though we're not here every week doing 4 hours at a time.
So today's topic is the bosses we remember. So I screenshot something that will open up a discussion for us. So let's think about, and you guys as well that are listening, let's think about really the bosses we remember, the ones that opened the doors for us, the ones that developed us as leaders, the ones that recognised and rewarded us, defended us when we needed it, told us our work mattered, led by example, provided us with a safe space to grow, forgave us for when we made mistakes, and inspired us to stretch to the highest levels. And can I say that Jennifer and Cherie said that you and I are every kind of one of these?
No,
I'm going to agree. Jennifer said to us, because we were talking about managers and leadership on Monday, and she said, I genuinely feel like you and Kate are the first leaders that I've ever had, and everybody else has been managers.
Don't.
Because you have given us all space to grow. You value our opinions. You really listen to us. You care about our home life. You care about when we're having down days. So
oh my God. That's
let's
lovely.
celebrate that for a wee minute.
I was going to
because
say we don't celebrate
No.
it. We just think of the
I
staff
think
will
that's
hate
something
us.
I'm really proud of. No, we
Not
know
hate us, but you know
our
what I mean.
staff care about
Yeah.
us, but it's so lovely to hear that, and it's lovely as a boss to be appreciated that way,
Yeah.
because I think that's the highest form of compliment we
Yeah.
could get.
Of course it is. That they feel heard,
Yeah.
because it's so important to
supported.
feel heard. Aye.
So, can you think of a boss? I actually can think of one right now that.
100%.
Mm-hmm.
The business I was in previously, I worked for 2 guys who
Yep.
were both older than me,
Yep.
who 100% believed in me and gave me leadership and gave me responsibility and power, and they never
Let you make your own mistakes.
they
Had
did
your back.
100%. They never bossed me.
Yeah.
It was never like a do this. It was always like, right, we need this done. Can you go and find the best way to do that?
Yeah.
Or I need this today, but I don't have time to explain it all to you. Can you figure it out and help me or whatever? So I did have to, and again, from different generations. So there was me and then a 10-year gap and then another 10-year gap. So it's
Yeah.
interesting now at my age, looking back at those generational differences, how respectful the eldest one was, opening car doors, opening doors, all those
Yeah.
things. And it's just been like looking at different traits in people. So I was very lucky. I mean, going back to bosses I've had in the past who have been horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. Like throwing things at staff members and all that. Just that was his personality. That was nothing to do with being a boss. That was just he was that person. So
I think my favourite boss, I worked in a salon in Uddingston called Vanity Kate, and it was like a proper plush
Nice.
5-star salon. It was John Higgins, the snooker player, his wife Denise, and her sister Kelly who owned it, and Kelly was the
you always
therapist.
talk about them really fondly
So
about how
Kelly's actually married to the guy Harry that does the clothing 40.
Ah, right, okay.
Funny old world.
Aye.
Name drop there. But so Kelly was only, she wasn't that much older than me. I think she was only maybe 2 or 3 years older than me. And this is just before I went travelling. So I was, 22 at the time when I worked there. So she must have been around 25. But see, at such a young age, she was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
She really was amazing. She really cared about us. She was really enthusiastic, but she knew even at that such a young age where the line was. So you had that total respect level of that's my boss, but we had that kind of friend nature as well.
Do you know, I
with
think
her.
that's a hard thing in the industry. Is
Really
that
hard.
the boundary thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so hard because we love all our team members, and as our pals, it would be a great, and we have got that relationship, we go out for drinks and all the rest of it. But sometimes you have to remember those boundaries, because then when it comes to decisions and scenarios in a work environment,
Give an
when
inch,
you have
take
to
a mile.
go, no.
I know.
And younger staff don't see it because they've not got that experience. They don't recognise it. And then when you put the boundary and then you put that discipline in place, they're a bit like...
Or they might feel kind of hard
wait a
done
minute.
by. Or,
Aye, wait a minute. You know, on Saturday night we were doing shots
well,
at the
there's
bar.
every possibility that I acted like that back then. Can't really remember, but...
I probably did as well because I worked in retail when I was younger. So like that, we would maybe sometimes we'd have nights out where the boss would come over to the pub after work for a couple of drinks. And it's knowing that, excuse me, that boundary afterwards, like when you're back in work on the Monday.
Go in work mode.
That all those other members of staff that weren't at the pub on Friday, you can't be calling Mr. Cullen Peter. And work on the Monday, you have to have that boundary of knowing the respectfulness kind of thing. So
it is. It's funny. I always remember working in that salon as well, and just always being in a good mood and always being happy and always like. I remember her having my back. I remember actually sitting.
That's a good example of people having your back.
Yeah. We were sitting, so obviously this salon was so plush. We had all the footballers' wives from Bothwell coming into it. And they were lovely as well, actually. But I always remember one time that a woman came in and her husband's is a dentist, and I'm not saying too much more because you know who we're talking about here. And she was getting her nails done by me, and she had mentioned that the practice was where the area that where I lived, and I was like, oh, I live there because I didn't live in Uddingston. I lived in Cumbernauld. So then she was saying to me, oh, like whereabouts in Cumbernauld do you live? And I had said I was brought up in Coldrum in Cumbernauld, and she was terrible. She was like, why would your parents bring you up in a place? Now, there was absolutely hee-haw wrong with Coldrum, and there still is. And my mum and dad still live in the same house that I got brought up in. Got brought up in a beautiful area. I had great times when I was younger.
Friends, neighbours, community.
And everything. That's one thing about status and stuff that I will never understand.
No.
But to actually physically say that to someone is disgusting. So she basically slaughtered the fact of the area that I was from, which there was absolutely nothing wrong with the area that I was from. Still isn't. And I remember Kelly, my boss, being mortified that she was even talking like that. She asked her to leave.
Good on her.
She asked her to leave.
Good on her. And I think we would do that for a team member of ours. We are fiercely defendant of our team members, and we always say to our team members, if a client puts you in a position that's uncomfortable or they're rude or whatever, stop what you're doing and come and get one of us. Don't take something from somebody.
You're not
just
paid
because
enough to get that kind of snatch.
And that's not acceptable. Don't let somebody speak to you like that if it's not warranted.
I already had respect for her, but I gained a newfound respect for her because
you knew she had your back.
I just knew that I was taken care of. And they were just such a kind, loving family. They were one of the families, I think actually they might have had like a Italian heritage, but it was that one of the ones that was like, they brought you into everything and they let you know about everything that was going on, and you just felt part of the family almost. It was probably the first place, and out with our place, the only place that I ever felt part of them, their family.
Like if the company grew, you would grow and all the rest of it, if it was all part of it.
I was gutted to leave them, but I went travelling. I went travelling around the world with my best friends. So, and she phoned me when I was away travelling saying there's always a job for you coming back. And I had already secured something to come back to at that point, but it was just a really fond memories. It was a beautiful salon, like you've no idea how beautiful it was, and the clients were all lovely. So I've got really fond memories of. And it's nice of them to say
you're always welcome back. We've said that to team members that have left in the past. You know, if you're part of our team, you'll always be part of our team. You know, you never really leave. If you leave on good terms, you can always come back. There's always a job for you.
Yeah. So, flip side of that, can you remember bosses that, I know you've had something thrown at you, but out with that, like,
we'll talk about him again.
Unsupported even, or more, they didn't know the difference between management and leadership. It was like just more of a boss, like loved the title, wasn't a great leader.
Yeah, probably back in my retail days, on the kind of a level that I worked at, and I worked in a big massive brand department store in Argyle Street for years, and again the senior manager of the whole store was great, you know, a really nice guy, and led from that leadership way. You know, he coaxed people into doing things, you know, encouraged them to do things, told them how well they were doing a thing to make them do it better, all that kind of thing, rather than bossing them.
Yeah.
And then there would always be maybe a supervisor just a level above you who got that power. You know, they got the keys to the till when there was a mistake on the till, and they'd come behind the cash desk and show you how clever they were and all that kind of stuff. And that power, you know, walking about, no doing any work, just standing, swinging their keys to the cash desk. There was those elements of people. Not really on to a bad extent that they're stuck in my mind, that I'm like, oh my God, that was the worst experience. That one I talked about, the guy who was like throwing things, was the worst. I only stayed there 6 months and I thought, I'm just not doing this.
I think from my perspective, this first ever spa that I worked in, my boss wasn't very good at all. And more so for the point that you wouldn't ever really see her. You would, like, she did treatments some of the time, but you wouldn't really see her. And when you did see her, she always had something negative to say. There was never, and the only time I remember her being complimentary was when I handed my notice in and she wanted me to stay, and she was offering me the senior therapist role and more money.
Panic, aye, too late.
And I was
sister.
just like, nah.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, again, and nothing drastic happened, but you were just never really seen or heard and valued.
We're always aware of that. I think we always try and be aware of it. Maybe we're not, we don't always put it into practice enough, but you don't know, you need your team members to tell you that. But I think we're always aware of when somebody does something well. We shout it out, we've got a board in the kitchen, and it's got like sales and things like that on it, and it's always like a shout out,
the wins.
oh, look at that, well done. Or
but not even just to do with work. Like, Caitlin often mentions the fact that when she got a new car, everybody was just like, wow, like, your car's beautiful.
I know,
and we got
coming
so
out to see you,
excited
and we're all
about
excited
it.
for
She's
getting
like,
it.
I've never been part of a team or had bosses that have been so like, well done, your new car, that's amazing. And so it's moments like that you need to take into consideration. So anybody that's listening, can you think of a moment that perhaps that you can adapt and take on from someone that's nurtured you and you really like that experience and you could pass that on? We're forever like, pass it on. Pass it on.
Pay it forward. Yeah, absolutely. If you've had a nice experience, make sure that you give that same experience. It's like the whole leadership and management thing again. Don't ask somebody to do something that you wouldn't do yourself. Don't do things.
I went out in the shop floor and recommended a couple of products last week.
There you go.
We expect our girls to do product recommendation because it's part of the 5-star journey. Bumped into a couple of clients who I've known for such a long time. One of them in particular had real problems with her skin. I recommended her a product that would help her skin.
Aye.
So
just because you were chatting to her. Again, that's a listen to your client, chat to your client. You might not always, if you're a one-man band, you might not have time because one client comes in, but you've got an hour with that client. Whatever time you've got with them is your time to do that. But if you are the manager of a salon and you need to be around, just take a wee hour or two a week and don't put something in your diary and walk around and find out what everybody, because that's the best way you'll find out how your team are performing. Is by being around and checking in with your their clients. Your clients are happy because they come back to you every week, but check in with another client who goes to somebody else. How are you? Is everything all right? What can I do or whatever? Can we make it better? And we regularly ask clients, we'll say to them, is there anything we could do better? Is there anything that you don't like or whatever? And we're very lucky, we're VIPs, they're quite good at actually saying, this isn't working for me. We'll go back to, we talked in a previous episode about deposits. That whole enforcing the deposits so that people don't let you down. Our booking system doesn't allow us to pick and choose who we ask a deposit from. So our VIPs, I wouldn't necessarily ask them for one because they're there, they know the cancellation policies, but our system doesn't. And it just took me to explain that to a client because she was a wee bit, she's like, it's such a pain in the bum because it stops me doing this and this and I don't want to have to do that all the time. And once I explained it, she was just like, that's fine. I said, see if you just DM the girls and they'll get all your appointments sorted. Don't wait for that deposit issue to be an issue. Just DM and we'll get it all sorted. She's now like that. That's great. That's all I needed. So just be around.
Key to listen, key to circulate because clients like to see you as well, not just stuck away. Because quite often like, I'll go, oh, I've not seen you in ages. And I'm like, oh no, I've been in the office. So it's like,
I know.
Right, I need to make more an effort to go out, speak to everybody as well. So it's circulating and finding out of everybody what's working, what's not.
And picking up the vibe if there's a bad vibe, or if there's any problems, just recognising what they are.
Yeah. So again, we would love to hear if you've had a boss that was just super amazing and what all their good traits were, or stories of people that were horrendous. Like, give us the gossip.
Oh, that would be great. We should get a couple in, actually. That would be really good.
We can do another story time.
Absolutely. And get that boss on. Make them feel bad now. Do you know you were rotten to her? We could do an episode. The staff member and the boss. No, if you have loved the episodes and you're still listening, we are so grateful. We genuinely do.
Yeah.
We put these out every week and cross our fingers and just hope that we're no
It's not just our husbands listening.
Aye, that it's not just our 5 members of our family each that are listening. But please like, review and subscribe.